So thank you for staying back, and I know it's been a long day, and some of you have been from morning. And for me, it's a very special session. I opted for this. I told Dr. Shanti, you don't take me to any moderation, but give this to me. The reason is I have done so many moderation. I don't know, hundreds of moderation, but been in hundreds of panel. But this is very special to me because my focus is all on Gen Alpha or Gen Z. If you see my LinkedIn page, I have put in as a Gen Z coach or a Gen Alpha coach. So all of you who are sitting here are either Gen Z or Gen Alpha. And I'm sure you know how the generation terminology. So we have Gen X here. I'm a Gen X. Some Gen Y is sitting here. What's that? Millennials, is it? Boomers. I know some boomers. I'm not sure. I don't want to just look at somebody and say boomers. So maybe some boomers are here. Exactly. So there are seven generations. We are in a unique stage where January 25, we will have identified generation in the world. Just to give a quick glimpse of what it is, the traditionalist is one generation, after which what came is Gen Boomers or baby boomers, then Gen X, which is my generation, then Gen Y, which is millennial generation, Gen Z, some of you, and the Gen Alpha, probably both of you, I assume, but I have not asked your age, so I don't want to, but I'll just go with that. Then the Gen Beta is going to come in January 2025. The first kid which is going to be born in January 2025 is called Gen Beta. So we'll have 7 generation in 2 months from now. So I'm very excited, for listening to your voices and your views. And don't worry, I'll make it comfortable. There is no right and wrong. And whatever you say, nobody necessarily understands because your generation is very different. And you have a new thought. You can be a futuristic thought, so don't worry. Number 2, whatever you say, it's your opinion, doesn't matter. Your opinion are valued and we want to hear you. Right? So you don't have to really worry about, am I saying it right? There's a lot of elders here, teachers here, professors, principals. Don't worry. Just go your thought, speak from your heart, and your views are very important. That's why we wanted all of you to be here, right? Okay, so what are we going to talk about is the future of education. The fundamental question is, just raise your hand if you are very satisfied with current education system. There is an answer for that. I think none of them raised their hand. It means the principals, teachers, education people who are sitting here, not even one raised hand and said they're happy with the current education system. So that's fine, their views, but you won't agree with that, but it's fine. And how many of you think we need a drastic change? Drastic change means complete change. Okay? So, okay. Even audience, okay. Audience also say that, okay, very good. I think what is stuck, especially the teachers and the principals and academicians sitting here, we've been holding on to some, when it comes to management, when it comes to science, of course, the past science we can't let go because the history helps you, science helps you, mathematics, the formula helps you. But when it comes to beyond that, still we are holding on to some traditional methodologies, traditional ideas. I think that is what we wanted to challenge as a Gen Alpha and Gen Z. I think that's what in my coaching session I understand. So I'm going to ask questions to each of you which will revolve around what's in your mind about future of education. Right? So again, I'm telling you, keep it comfortable, speak whatever you want. Your parents are sitting here, not worry. But we want to hear you. I appreciate your courage to say in front of many academicians, the education system is not good. That's the voice we were missing in the past. If anyone had asked me when I was in your age, I would have quietly said, no, everything is good because of a fear factor. But I see this generation as voicing out courage and candor, I call it as, which is very good. Right? Okay, so let's go one round. So let me start with Joseph. Joseph, hi. So what role do you think technology, because technology is something which you cannot avoid, correct? And it's becoming an integral part of who we are, because when this generation was born, the technology was already there. But there are many of us, we born without mobile phone, and then the mobile phone and many technology advancement happened, right? So what role do you think technology will play in shaping the future of education? And how do you envision classroom transforming from your own visualization?
My name is Joseph. I'm studying in second PUC in SJIC PUC. So to answer your question, I think technology can really impact education, because education until now is information, how you get information, and with technology developing in the internet and communication technology, I think more and more people are going to have education, and it's going to be accessible even in remote areas. This will also change the way our education system functions, because now we're going to have we won't need to have the house education is right now, which is benches and students crammed and lecturers like that, because they're going to know stuff now, stuff which they wouldn't have known in previous generations. So because of this technology, they can really it can change the whole education system. And future classrooms, they won't be with benches and lecturers just talking to them, giving them hour-long sessions. I think something like VR, virtual reality, that can that gives experiential learning, and it helps us, especially for in science, where we learn like concepts which we don't have any frame of reference like readily available to us, like how we can't grasp those concepts. So with virtual reality and augmented reality, we have a method to imagine such topics. And so I think like how classrooms have been upgrading from blackboards to projectors and smart boards, we're going to have access to those goggles. I think Apple Vision and Facebook, they're producing such equipment. So I think that is the future, and technology, that is the future that technology will enable for the future generations. Thank you.
I don't know how many of you actually know that some of the technology advancement which Joseph is talking is in place in a corporate sector, because I worked for a company previously where we had robots as in the corridors to welcome, right? And even banks, a lot of banks in India have adopted that. The virtual glasses or the virtual reality, the Google glasses, what you're talking, many companies are using it for orientation program. You just come to the office when the day one, you wear it and then sit there. It gives you a holistic view of the company. Even in interview process, it has been shown. And then we have something called artificial intelligence coaches. And actually the coaching field, if you look at, nothing but teaching is also same. In a way, academicians are coaching, or you call it as teaching, or you call it as training. The coaching done by artificial intelligence is much better than what human could do, because when I coach Joseph, the next time when I meet, I will remember what I spoke, probably, or I might have to write in a book. But the technology can keep the records and give you a pattern. The minute I type your name, it can give the past history of what the coaching has brought it, and some insights of what I need to further look into. So technology has an advantage. And as you rightly said, I think the more and more classroom designs will change, teaching methodology could change. But I won't say it will, the current methodology will exit, but probably it will coexist with the technology. I think that's what you're also saying. Great. So Shravantika, how can education address mental health and well-being concerns? I'll give you a little bit of statistics which I shared in the morning. The data says in India, currently Gen Z, which is 11 years and above, roughly, 11 to probably, or 13 to 25, just take roughly that age bracket. 90% of the students or people in that age group are going through anxiety, low confidence, self-doubts. This is what data says. right? So it's an apt question. So I want to understand, how can education address this mental health issues? Unless you say it is caused in the school itself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I won't take that long because I'm tired myself and we've all been here since morning. I'm Shavantika Karthik, a student of grade 11 from DPSBN. So according to me, education isn't just about grades and marks and score sheets and just flexing the open saying, "Hey, I got 90%, how much I got? Only 60%. It's just fun. But that can't just be the base of everything that happens. You need to know how to apply these situations in real life. Otherwise, there's no point of you learning it, is what I feel. So, in speaking of mental health, it's still considered to be a taboo topic in India. So in Tamil, we have this saying, it's called "Poga poga seriya poidum." So when you say that, it just means, yeah, as time passes, it's just a phase. So when it's just a phase, you'll pass it eventually. And as Sir said, the main reason among adolescents as to why depression and anxiety occurs is because of pressure on your shoulders. It's not about societal pressure and parental pressure on your shoulders, but about you yourself setting certain expectations and goals for yourself, and you are not able to meet them. So you begin to feel unworthy of yourself. So you'll be like, such a little milestone if I'm not able to achieve. I am not worth it at all. So, and then you begin to question your life choices. You begin to say, okay, this small goal at this particular so and so age, if I'm not able to attain that goal, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? So you begin to have an identity crisis. And I think education in schools, primarily because schools are like the second home to Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and all the generations, because we hardly spend any time at home. 8 hours you spend in school, then you go to tuition centers. And my case, for example, I reach home at 4:10. I leave my home, go to tuition center, and come back home at 9:30. I wash, I go sleep. Simple. I don't have any other time left, right? So I don't spend any time at home. And since school is my second home, I would like it if the academicians in the school did something about it. So and adolescents, particularly Gen Z, we take a lot of stress upon ourselves. So it would be amazing if we had recharge or revamp zones where you could just shut your books and take your naps. I admire China for that, because I saw this YouTube reel where your bench just unfolds into a bed, you carry your pillow, you sleep off like that for 1 hour, done. And then pure education. So like I said, mental health and getting therapy or help is still a taboo topic in India, and we're slowly coming out of it. Yeah, that's happening because of Gen Z. It's happening because of Gen Z people. It's us. It's us. You guys got a lot to learn. So about peer education, it is basically when your peer assumes the title of your therapist. It is something that's already happening since like the beginning of time, but we just gave it a new fancy name right now. As a student, I might not feel comfortable talking to the counselor, because see, even if I'm doing that, I might talk about my parents to my counselor, and if my counselor goes and says that to my parents, it's going to be awkward. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go tell everything to my friend. So that person necessarily doesn't have to be my friend. And when such peer education programs happen, the school should keep in mind the mental state of the peer educator, because as we know, every therapist has a therapist. So you can't just take everybody's load and put it on your shoulder, and when you're relieving someone else's stress, you inevitably add on to yourself. So that should be taken care. And like he said, tech can be used as well. So in this age of AI, and like the previous panelists already said, tech is not going to go anywhere, and we were the generation that grew up and were born with tech. So I think we have the upper hand in that as well. So if that's the case, we need to know which is real and which is fake. I mean, you log into Instagram, you look at all this picture perfect life, all aesthetics, dark academia, I'm doing comeback, this, that, everything, and it just, instead of motivating you, it ends up demotivating you, and you feel unworthy. So social media will also have a role in this. Like this, I would appreciate it if there are more talk sessions as well, because bullying happens a lot in school, groupism happens, and inclusivity is not very common. Though we might talk about it, certain schools observe inclusivity very well, but the others don't necessarily do that. So yeah, that would be better.
Very beautifully said, and I think that's the voices we need to hear. Because I'm a Gen Z coach, and 1,500 kids I've mentored in the last year alone from different schools, different colleges, and I completely agree with you in terms of some of the mindset change which the elder generations need to, or the previous generation need to have. They always say, when we were in schools, that's a different era, right? And that's not what we need to be referring to, because if it is apple to apple, then we can compare. Most of the parents say this, like when I was going to school, that's a different era, right? So we need to kind of customize our thinking process to today and future, and then the parenting or education can become better, because no manner what worked in the past necessarily work for the future generation, because everything is changing, right? And I like the concept of sleeping. In fact, even companies, in my companies, a lot of people had asked, why can't we do that? But still, we allow people to rest and then take it easy. There is a wellness rooms, and there are a lot of other concepts which people can go take a nap and come back, because we don't want physical bodies to sit there, right? You want an active mind to sit there. Otherwise, it's physically, I'm tired, I'm still sitting there, but I'm not concentrating. And that's the old mindset that everybody, attendance, swipe, come in, go out. Only the time matters. The quality of time you spend doesn't matter. So today it is like work from anywhere and study from anywhere kind of a concept which is coming. I like the way you articulated. And one last point which you triggered me to think is with respect to the understanding of Gen Z. I agree. But also inclusivity you spoke about. I think there is a need for the Gen Z, Gen Alpha also to understand why other generations say what they say. So that's the common ground which is missing. That creates a little bit of unhappiness and things like that, right? Okay, so with that, I'll go to Shravanti. I go with this order. Shravani. Shravani, sorry, my apologies. Shravani. How do you think students can take ownership of their learning journey, specifically what they learn, and keep it in mind that I learn for some reason, then how do I take it beyond? And when I go to colleges, I ask this question: how many of you are self-funding your education? 90% don't raise hand. So you're in a college level, I'm saying, in the post-graduation, you're still parents' money you're using. I said, what stopped you to take a loan? That's ownership, right? So I will take loan, I'll study, I'll pay back. And this happened in even previous generation. My wife is sitting here, she studied with her own money, right? But why is that not happening? Today, education loans are so much there. I don't know whether parents are pampering kids to take, after a basic education, kids should come or students should come forward to say, I will take a loan, I will study, I'll pay back. That's the ownership, in one level of ownership. So Shravani, I'm going to ask you, what do you think Gen Alpha or Gen Z can do in owning the learning?
Okay, so I'm Shravani, I'm 13 years old and I'm a homeschooler. So, okay, I thought the question was about like how do you actively learn?
Okay.
So, this is what I've come up with.
Yeah.
So, the basic thing for learning would be being curious. Because curiosity is a fuel for learning, and if you aren't curious, you pretty much will not learn anything. And after being curious, you'll also have to observe around your world. If I don't actively observe, then I won't get questions, and naturally my ways to learn will get reduced. And then you can use sources like books, AI, and movies, documentaries, and other things to learn. And you can also meet people and teach people to understand better. Also, an important step is setting goals and keeping achievable targets, not some fancy targets which will end up making you feel demotivated and depressed. And when you achieve these targets, you'll feel better and you'll feel motivated and you'll want to keep learning. And also, a very important step is to write down or document whatever you have learned, either by making digital scrapbooks or portfolios or just recording whatever you have learned. And also, learning is a lifelong process, and it's just you shouldn't restrict yourself. You can learn from anything in the world, and you can learn about anything, not necessarily that you need to learn about some complicated stuff, even how simple things work or work in day-to-day life. So yeah, that's what I thought.
Sure.
But for the part which you said, how can they take ownership? Like everybody has some or the other talent. They can use those talents to make some kind of a second income, not a second income, but like a passive income. So they can study plus make some money on the other hand, and they can pay back their loans or whatever they took for getting into college or university.
Thank you. I appreciate the way you addressed the question. So you expressed what you wanted to share, and then also you didn't leave a chance to take my question, which was little going out of what you prepared, but I'm glad you addressed that. I think that thinking process is very important, and keep it up. Thank you so much. And I want to come back to you on the homeschooling versus regular schooling. Is there a difference? I think it depends on an individual. Maybe if time permits, we'll talk about it. But then I will go to Malvika. So Malvika, what role do you think, again, I'm going to come back to what Joseph started with, artificial intelligence. I think he spoke about technology, but a specific question to you on artificial intelligence and machine learning will play in a personalized education. I think it's building on what Joseph said, I said. How do you envision that education system will change with these two?
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Malvika, and I'm in class 12. So, the role that artificial intelligence and machine learning plays in personalizing education is that it provides students with a customized learning path. So in a classroom, it is very imperative for an educator to provide a holistic learning experience for each student. And this cannot be achieved with a one-size-fits-all approach. So with the help of AI, an educator is able to come up with a personalized lesson plan for each student. So this promotes inclusivity in a classroom, and it also enhances a classroom learning experience by providing students with feedbacks after analyzing each one of their learning profiles and their retention patterns. So another point I would like to talk about is adaptive assessments. So assessment is a key indicator to help students understand how much they've grasped and their areas of improvement. So these assessments can be made dynamic with the help of AI by changing its contents and difficulty levels based on a student's response. So the last point I would like to talk about is it gives real-time help for each student. So I use AI myself for problem solving, and I would like to say it is such a boon as it saves a lot of time. So it gives me like deep understanding of what I'm learning and also a lot of conceptual clarity. Thank you.
Very nice. I like the way you not only gave a general idea, but also you refer to what you are applying and how is it useful. So that resonates with the audience, especially you're not talking out of general knowledge, but you're also talking about your own knowledge. Very good. Very nicely done. And Siddhant Pandian, what changes would you like to see in the way teachers teach and students learn to make education more engaging and effective?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Siddhant Pandian, 13 years old, studying 8th standard. So today I'll be answering the question about how teachers can change their teaching ways. So I'll be taking an example of my school itself because I don't know how other schools operate. Okay, so in my school, the schedule, we go to school, then we go to the class, we sit there, listen to the teachers, all the boring stuff, write the notes, come back, right? It's not fun at all, right? So we're all wondering, why are we even in the class? Okay, so let me take an example of maths. At least me, I don't like maths. So I sit in the class thinking, what am I supposed to do? But actually maths is a very important subject which you should know, right? Because if you don't know, it's going to be very hard to get a job. Like some jobs require a bit of maths. At least that's what I know. So the way teachers teach maths nowadays, right? It's very boring. If any maths teachers are here, no offense, but no offense here, but at least for me, it gets very stale. The way the teachers teach, at least the teachers in my school, the way they teach, it makes kids think that maths is only about numbers and algorithms and no fun.
So you want the teacher to dance?
No, not like that, but like mix it with another subject. Like another subject which us kids, at least in my class, we like is computer. So when we mix maths with computer, what do we get? We get a bunch of students who enjoy the subject, right? So we, like in a month, like in the calendar activities of a month, they can, one day will be just for activities, no school books, no notebooks, just a rough book and pencil. So like for yeah, like that.
You okay with the Roblox game of algebra?
Yeah, I'm okay with anything. I love Roblox. Yeah, so we can have like a maths quiz. I mean, it's in some schools, but in my school, unfortunately, it is not there. So I'm just saying like that. And then another example for like languages, we can use like flashcards. Like you take a card, then there's a sentence. Example, Kannada. There's a Kannada sentence, you have to translate it into English, or it's in English, you have to tell it in Kannada, you get points. The team with the most points gets a small chocolate or any prize or something like that. That's how students will be more connected to the subject instead of just thinking it's some random subject, won't help me in life. They'll be more excited, right? Yeah, that's all really.
Well, he's my son, but I didn't know what he's going to talk. I would have told him not to use your school, but it's okay. In the interest, please don't ask which school he's from and make an issue out of it. But yeah, it's a great school. But yeah, the truth is truth. So Joseph, what role do you think parents, community, and industry, like people like us from industry or parents, and I play all these three roles. It's all what we can do to enhance, shape education the way not exactly you want, because you may think from certain platform and we may think from a certain platform. There is something called common platform, which is good for society, which is good for individuals, which is good for education system, right? Whilst we listen to all of you, but the change is possible only when there is a common ground, right? So just keep that in mind, but tell whatever you feel.
Okay, so parents, well, they mean well for their children. They always mean well for their children. But sometimes meaning well doesn't always translate to actually doing well or making their child's life better. So in terms of education, I think parents, the main role they should play in education is being supportive. So I am blessed. My parents are they are down with anything I'm for. So, but I find that many of my friends in college, many of them are like forced to do what they are doing now. And if I look at my dad, and this is the reason he's very open-minded. My dad, he was forced into a field which he did not want to do, and that ended up spending and wasting a lot of his life. So he studied to be a dentist. He wasn't good at science at all, but because of his parents and because of family connections, he was able to get into a college. But he sucked at science. He makes it very clear to all of us, my brothers, that he didn't enjoy his life at all. and so he started to become a dentist, but now he works as a writer. So he just wasted like 10 years of his life. So parents have a very important role, and that is to support their children. Community also is something like that. You need to support. Children need support, and we need support. Industry, I think, industry should play a role of influencing like curriculum and syllabus. Right now, I'm in PUC, so our syllabus comes from the board, the government, which is not properly. It's not viable. Like we don't have proper growth because the governments keep changing, and that's not how it should be. I think our curriculum and syllabus should come from industry, because they are at the forefront of utilizing advancements in academics and using it in practical scenarios. So I think that is industry should play a greater role in deciding what students learn in colleges and schools.
I think you articulated clearly on what three different people, like whether parents or academicians or industry, can be of help in shaping the future of education. And the one point which you said triggered me. You said 10 years wasted because stream changing. My way of looking at life is it's not important how many different trains you board. Sometimes you may take a wrong train and get down and come back to the same destination, the same place where you started, and take another train and go to another place. What matters is the destination you reach. Right? It's okay to try. I think that's what in the previous generation. I think that's a skill which I expect the other generation also to pick it up. A boldness, courage to try something, and that should not only in exploration mode. Right? So the exploration is like you try, then you just give up and come. You put your 100% try and see where it goes. If it fails, it's okay. But still, you have enough time to come back and try something. And the measurement of success is not about how quickly you reached, but how happily you reached. That's where a lot of successful people not happy. A lot of happy people not necessarily successful. I think it's a balance between happiness and success. I think if you get both, I think that's what one should be aspiring for. And then your wellness point, I think a lot of points you brought in terms of the peer pressure in Insta today. Earlier we all used to. Even colleagues in the class, I wouldn't know who's going and where they've gone and how much money they spent. Unless your close circle, you will ask, hey, where were you? And then this is Saturday, I went to, say, some place, and then I came back and I had some food. It's just a conversation. I wouldn't know anybody and everybody around me, which restaurant they're going, what pasta they're eating, or what burger they're eating. Today, it is like, that puts me a pressure, right? So I see weekend, there are 10 people are eating in KFC, or they're going in school level, I'm saying, or going to Singapore, somebody is going to Switzerland. I'm like under pressure, like when am I going? Right? Because I'm getting to see. So there is an advantage and disadvantage. Then my happiness, before I saw that I was happy. Probably I went to say Ooty and came. I was happy with my vacation. Until I saw somebody went to Switzerland, I'm like, when am I going to go? My happiness is immediately lost. In a corporate language, I'm happy with my salary until I know what is your salary. Until then, I was happy. In a campus placement, we go and we say we offer some X number of lakhs to somebody. They're very happy, accept the offer. Suddenly, classmate gets more from another company, then an unhappiness begins. So comparison is a great enemy for self-happiness, and that is the problem I see, that you all have to learn some skills to overcome, because today you're exposed to so many things through the technology which we didn't have to face. Our happiness level was high. If you have to measure the happiness quotient, probably my previous generation was even more happier, but slowly happiness reducing, but I'm sure we will find a way to do it. So with that, I'm going to come back to you. That's my second round of question. I think I should stop speaking and allow you to speak. Shravantika? how can education foster creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving skills in students?
Thank you for the question. Fostering creative thinking, problem solving, and critical thinking, it reminds me of my psychology textbook. I took PCB with psychology. I decided I can't do math and physics together. That's called being self-aware. So imagine like you go to school. I'm talking on whatever he pointed out in the first question. Imagine going to school and then there's this one day you don't have to get your bag, you don't have to get your food, all you need is your brain. You can just go, you don't even need stationery, and immediately the teacher plans out surprise stuff like debating. That is very hot right now, so you can just debate and the heat will go up and you get to bang your desks and throw chairs at people. That is what parliamentarians do. I'm pointing out facts, guys. You just bang the desks and then you go against the motion, you go for the motion, and that's going to engage your creative thinking and roasting levels as well. So that is also creative thinking. The anti-textbook curriculum, and when you come to 11th grade, especially bio is like reading off and mugging. That's botany for you. Everything that's supposed to be red is all green and it's disgusting. No offense, bio teachers. I'm sorry about that. In many subjects, like even in humanities, I'm sure I don't know about it, but you might have to mug up a lot. And the thing is, it doesn't matter how you learn it. It matters. Sorry, wait, what? No, it doesn't matter about what you learn. It's about how you learn and how you apply that situation, right? Coming back to that. So about anti-textbook curriculums, and I'm sure even while learning botany, I prefer looking at videos and looking at images moving around instead of looking at my textbook, which is not going anywhere. And then instead of just mugging up your question and answers, I think it would be very beneficial if you allow the student to answer by themselves. But then there's this one con also as well, because I can write answers. It should be correct and you should be able to give me marks. That's what happened in social board exam. So, and then in reverse classrooms also, it's like flip classroom. This happens in our school. So where the teacher selects the most boring topic that she doesn't want to teach and she gives it to you and you begin to teach it and the entire class goes off. So that will help you to feel how the teacher feels when she's teaching that chapter. So it will also teach you empathy, it will foster creative thinking, and it will also go for problem solving as well. And then instead of just I've noticed this, like my friends abroad, they tell me, bro, we got to do this experiment today, that experiment today, and we did it by ourselves. But until like 10th grade, the teacher used to sit in front of that big table. She used to hold up the chemical. That was rarely. Otherwise, she'd just draw it on the board, a couple of test tubes, and she'd be like, okay, this, you mix, you'll get this compound. So instead of that, it'll be amazing if we get to do real world passion projects. Because all of this that you will learn, and anyway you're not going to stay in school forever. I mean, my LKG brain thought differently, but you're not going to stay in school forever, and when you need to go out into the real world, you need to know about application. So for that, real world projects are very much beneficial. And then instead of just looking at success stories and taking all those successful people as your role models, I think it'd be better if people talked about failure stories and celebrated failure stories as much as they celebrate success stories. Because like someone very wise said, failure is a stepping stone to success, and consistency is key. I mean, you can't keep failing and you can't keep passing all the time. So there's going to be ups and downs every single time, and if you don't know how to deal with failure, trust me, you will never be happy. And that is something adolescents go through. And then, so I've been talking only about students now, but how does education empower adults to do all of this stuff? So we all know that if you are more educated, you are more aware about present day situations like mental health or anything. Trust me, 5 years ago, I wouldn't know anything about depression, anxiety, or any other mental illness, for example. So, but now since I am more well versed in the topic, I have more awareness on the topic. topic, and I can implement it better, and I can help my peers and understand it as well. So education helps you with rational thinking. If you're able to understand that concept and you're able to, okay, fine, I'm going to use this concept, I'm going to relate it, and I'm going to use this rationally in a good way, that is going to improve your rational thinking skills as well. And so as for my point of view, I think it also helps you make wiser decision on the long run, which is something adolescents need to learn from boomers. So thank you.
Excellent. And it's a lot of points, and especially the fact that whatever you said, it challenges the current system to say, are we creative enough? And also, I'm just trying to say, whatever all of you saying, use of technology, change your mindset, and see how we can create it, make it more exciting. And so it's a lot of food for thought, and we will keep listening. And the whole idea is to not to defend you or say why current system is better, but that's not the whole idea. Idea is to say how can we shape the future, right? Shravani, back to you. What skills, or let me ask a question. If that is not what you prepared, just go ahead with whatever you prepared. I'll fit the question into what you prepared. And what skills are, and I'll just go with the unprepared thing also. I think it's always good to speak the whatever comes to your mind, right? So that's a safe zone. Anything you say is fine. What skills or subjects do you think should be prioritized in the future to prepare students for ever-changing world? Meaning, a lot of changes are happening, right? So what we learn today becomes obsolete. For example, iPhone 5, 6, 7, 8, it's just going on, additional features coming. There's nothing that we can say we know it. A lot of us are still learning. When it comes to technology, nobody can say I've learned it. Even elder generation or the previous generation, they're all struggling. We're all struggling because we are all in the same boat, right? You're learning at the same time. Sorry? We're all learning at the same time, right? Okay, so you go ahead and share your thoughts, and we will take it from there.
Yeah, so in my opinion, here are some skills that should be prioritized for an ever-changing world. First of all, the most important I feel would be self-awareness, then financial skills or financial literacy, and then mental health awareness, and then being open to change, and then social and emotional skills, communication skills, and accepting failure, as we all talked about it, and teaching students about Indian culture, as it can help us solve some modern day problems which we are facing right now. And also, one more important thing is the right way to use technology, because there are many people who are misusing it in a bad way. And I'd like to explain some of the points I listed down. So the first one would be self-awareness. Self-awareness is like very much important for a child to know, because pretty much I myself am the one who's going to be there for, like, I pretty much will be the one who will be sailing through this journey. So if I know my strengths, weaknesses, talents, and all of that, it will help me in the long run. For example, in the future I lose my job and I need to come up with some kind of a business idea. If I know my strengths and weaknesses and what I like, I can quickly come up with something. Or else, if I don't know myself properly, I'd have to spend time thinking of what I like and doing all of that work on myself, then coming up with a plan on what I want to actually do. Then the next one I'd like to talk about is being open to change, because as we all discussed, the world is rapidly changing, and not only students, everybody in the world should be open to change, because that's the only way you can survive and thrive. So for example, I have some homework or an assignment and I'm open to change. I'll use AI as a tool to help myself save my time. Otherwise, if I'm not open to change, I would just do it on my own struggle. Not struggle, but yeah, you're taking up more time of yourself, and you could have done it within the lesser time and be more efficient, but you're not doing that. So yeah, that's one more thing. And patience in accepting failure, that's also a big thing which we discussed about right now. And patience, because everybody is running in the world for their own set of reasons, and teaching patience to children would be helpful so that there'll be peace in the world. And also I'd stick to my goals and not just give up because some obstacle came in my way, because I'm patient. And I won't elaborate on failure because we all talked about it in today's discussion. And the last one would be teaching students about our Indian culture. Indian culture is like very deep and vast, and it could help us solve some modern day problems. For example, like in Hampi, the water management system was like very good there. If we could have implemented that in some urban cities, our quality of life would be much better. And also, like in Hindu culture, each god has some or the other vehicle, and which is an animal. And that not only means that like we respect those animals, that not only means like we just pray to them as a god, but we also respect the animals and in turn help the environment. So I would have missed out on many more skills, but these are the things I could remember and I think should be prioritized in this world and for the betterment of the world.
Very nicely done, very calmly, and you have expressed some of the cultural dimensions, and then both of you touched upon that important thing of failure, right? So, why do we need to talk only about success and failures? I have some view on that. I'll keep it for the last if time permits, but very beautifully touched upon the failure aspect as well. So, just to make sure we get enough time for Malavika and Siddhant, so let's finish this, and then we will go. Probably we'll spend a few minutes. So, Malavika, how can education encourage collaboration and teamwork among students from different cultural and socio-economic background? This question also stems from a fact that you may have parents who will go through this problem, right? So, we have culture at home and there is a practice at home, then you wanted your kids to be certain manner, discipline, all this. Then on fine day, when you put them into school, and then there is so many different parenting is all coming together. Now teachers have limitation on how much control you can have. Then you have a common discipline of school itself. So that's the law of the school. You come here, you belong to this place, this is how you practice. But there is something called inner culture, right? So the mutual respect. One parent would be teaching differently from another parent. So all this gets mixed there. Then eventually you become a product of the school. But at the same time, you have your own culture. So there is a lot of mixing of this happen. This is not only this generation. This has been there from the time school started and from the time human evolutions are there. But keep that in mind. But back to the question, and which is to your suggestions on how we can encourage collaboration.
Okay, so the first aspect I would like to talk about is to create a culturally inclusive curriculum. So it is the right of every student to be provided with a curriculum that affirms and supports their individual backgrounds. So here an educator plays a very crucial role of delivering this curriculum effectively, and also they act as a role model who values the differences in each student and also meeting their expectations and providing for their various needs. So the second point I would like to talk about is inviting guest speakers and various role models of students to give a talk at schools. So children belonging to these various diverse groups, listening to someone who's been in their shoes will actually motivate them and give them someone to relate to and look up to. And for their peers, it will play a role of giving them varying viewpoints. So this fosters empathy within a classroom. And the last point is using technology for global interaction and communication. So what this essentially does for a student is that it gives them a co-cultural and multicultural learning experience. So when they interact with each other, they understand the world around them, and this also helps in a lot of problem solvings around the world. So the last point I would like to talk about is using technology. It gives students access to varying viewpoints and various approaches to learning, and also various styles of thinking.
Great, very, very nicely you put it, very specific, crisp, and clear. Thank you for addressing how we can collaborate. I like the fact that how do we get the global collaboration using technology? Today there is a limitation, right? So you just go to school, come back, or inter-school competitions is when your inter-school comes together, or the chain of schools today. The same DPS has across in your case, and similarly all of St. Joseph's or any of the schools which you all representing have multiple chain of schools, and for you to come together itself is a challenge. Then imagine inter-school connections, then global connection, other countries. It's a big challenge. Technology can help us. So with that, last question from the panel perspective, unless then audience and we have time and all this, we'll see. Siddhant, how can education prepare students for a future where automation and artificial intelligence may replace certain jobs?
This question, it'll probably come true. So like we all know AI is getting better day by day, right? People are improving it, pouring lots of money, investments into making it a better thing. So let me take an example, like some jobs, like currently all the jobs, most jobs in this world is done by humans, right? With a little bit of assistance from AI here and there. But very soon some very routine jobs, like example, a receptionist in a hotel, like at least the knowledge of what they do, which I know, is like they talk to the customer, like book the rooms and get it ready, something like that, okay? I don't know, but what I know I'm telling. So that's what they do. So you don't really need a human to do it. You can program a robot to stand there, take calls face to face with the customer and all. But in some jobs, you can't really trust a robot to do. Like, example, surgeon. You don't want a robot to just running around like a headless chicken in the operating room wondering what to do, right? You can always program the robot to do amputations and all that, then transplants, right? But sometimes there can be unusual circumstances where the robot is not programmed to do that certain task. So even though that person may have had a chance of living with a proper experienced surgeon, they might have just died because the robot couldn't do anything because it was not programmed to do it. So some jobs like surgeon, like doing the surgeon stuff, flying airplanes, I think you should just leave it to humans because we have more experience. Unless we become a really technologically advanced civilization in the future, then maybe I'll give it to robots. But currently, or even in the next few years, these things should stay with humans. And next, coming back to the question, how to prepare the people, right? So obviously, you have to study properly, first of all. That's the core thing. Then some things like problem solving and communicating like a human and quick thinking, street smart thinking. However much technology you put into a robot, it cannot communicate like a human. It's not a human. It's a thing made by humans. So like a receptionist, like I said, you can always be an assistant to the robot, right? And it also depends on the company whether it wants to implement these robots or wants to stick with humans or a mix and all. And then some jobs like teaching can be a mix because some classes don't really require a human being to be there, right? But that's me. Some people might say just leave it like this. Yeah, that's all pretty much. Thanks.
Thank you. I think you're saying how do we coexist? I think started with Joseph's point that how do we how do we live with both technology and human being coexisting? That's where you're leading. Thank you for sharing that, Siddhant. And with that, we will close it. But I just wanted to ask a couple of Gen Z languages. I know 3 Gen Z and 2 Alpha sitting here. What is the deal with bro? He calls me bro, come let's go. I'm like, okay, I'm bro. I'm a universal bro in my family.
Bro is like
brother.
Chill, yeah.
It's like a chill.
No, there are people who call their boyfriends bro.
Yeah.
It's easy.
He calls father bro, right? Yeah, then I say, what is the deal with chill? If I say something very serious, hey, what happened to your maths marks? Chill, bro. I'm like, okay. My answer to him is, don't chill, bro. That will affect your career. Right? So, what is the new thing with matcha? Is it a Gen Alpha or
Matcha is common. It's
common?
super time.
Yeah, that came from there. So that I want to leave it with that. Some things are cycle, right? I used matcha in my school and college. Then after 3 generations coming back, matcha, machi also. I think somewhere we don't. Let's not. I want to summarize too because we don't have time for question answers. I want to summarize to say each generation has certain things to offer for life. We should not be blinded to one view. That means we are killing the learnings which we have taken in the past. What brought us to today's technology, or what will bring us to all the robots and everything you're talking, is what we have done in the past. If those work were not done, we wouldn't reach there. Today, your language for coding and artificial intelligence is all come from the basic mathematics which is started. Today, maths is taking a huge advantage. I keep telling all the students who work, maths is going to be the future. If you're talking about STEM, maths you can't avoid, because everything which we're talking about, artificial intelligence, generative artificial, Gen AI, you know, right? The fundamental for all of that is maths. Maths is taking maths taking a new look for the future. So with that, I want to say all generation have everything to offer. We have to take the best of all generation, and we can't forget the roots. Roots are very important. Only then you can grow, right? Roots are important. Culture is important. Take the best of everything, but shape it in a manner that suits the current generation, and don't stop it with you, because you need to leave a legacy for future generation. Now alpha has to flourish, then beta is coming, right? With that note, thank you so much. I want to appreciate each one of you. I didn't feel like I'm sitting with any of this. I didn't come with that stereotyping. I knew you guys will do well. Again, guys is a neutral language. You people will do well if I have to be gender inclusive. Number 2, I expected this, so you didn't disappoint me, but some of them would be very happy to listen to all of you. Keep the skill. Being in a panel at this age is a fabulous thing. And all of you with homeschooling, I was very happy at the way you performed. There's nothing wrong in homeschooling, but very few people we see. But you in schools, fabulous job. Keep the skill. I want to see you all as a great leaders. And I would be happy coming back many years later as well to invite you to be in a panel discussion and sit with you. Right? All the best.